All this talk of the dark? Daylight. Third level evocation. We'll get to that. Casting time of 1 action, range of 60 feet, components verbal somatic, duration 1 hour, and not concentration! I know I normally say concentration and I just leave it if it's not, but that... A 60-foot radius sphere of light spreads out from a point you choose within range. The sphere is bright light and sheds dim light for an additional 60 feet. Twice that of a torch! If you choose a point on an object you are holding, or one that isn't being worn or carried, the light shines from the object and moves with it, completely covering the affected object with an opaque object, such as a bowl or helm, blocks the light, similar to the darkness spell. If any of this spell's area overlaps with an area of darkness created by a spell of 3rd level or lower, the spell that created the darkness is dispelled. Yep. This is a big old flashlight. Also the fact it's a range of 60 feet. And even though it calls itself daylight, because we're going to get to that because some creatures have a negative effect if within daylight, this does not count as daylight. It counts as bright light. There's a separate spell that counts as daylight, not called daylight. It's very frustrating. While 3rd level kind of hurts it a bit, the fact that it's only an action and then lasts for an hour without concentration where other light spells take concentration, even the cantrips. 120 feet of light. Yes, 60 foot radius of that is dim light, but that's a large area on one object. And again, like the Hooded Lantern situation, where you can cast it on something and then cover it, and reveal it. In the addition, because it's a 3rd level spell and it specifically states it stops any darkness-like effect of this level or lower, so only an upcasted darkness, some other spell-like things similar to it, would be able to resist this. I remember this was being used in one of my games, because there were enemies that were using darkness. A bunch of Dragloths, and some of the other chitin, drow, half-spider things. And then just one of the players cast Daylight on him, and to help on the battlefield was just running around back and forth, dispelling it as he went by. And he didn't have to concentrate, so just that entire tactic was useless for an hour. I don't think I need to tell you the battle was well over at that point. Outside of getting a really big light, this even lights up well, only for an hour, this does light up an area brighter than Continual Flame. Only verbal and somatic as well, and it's still a 60-foot range, not even touch. Though, outside of the darkness effect, if you boil it down, this is just a really, really, really large torch for a 3rd level spell, the equivalent of a fireball or some other good options around that rank. And outside of that darkness situation, you're not going to get too much utility out of just needing light, and other things can cover light. Sure, not in a large enough area, but do you really need light that large that often? Of a 120-foot radius? I'd say 4 out of 10. It can come in useful, but there are other light spells or a bunch of mundane objects that can pick up its weight. And then the darkness effect is 1 or 2 other spells. 4 out of 10. If it was a lower level, I'd give it a lot higher rank, but the fact it's 3rd level is not worth a regular trade. I mean, outside of like NPC-wise lighting events for an hour, an entire ballroom with just 1 cast of this on a chandelier. Now I'm saying that out loud. That's not that bad. But player-wise, 4 out of 10.